YouTube. I respect that. I'm just going to pause it. Okay, guys, welcome to another great couple of teams that we've got for you today out there in the YouTube universe. If this, of course, does make it to YouTube, if not, doesn't matter. But it's the 11th of the 11th, 22. So the first team we've got up for you is Gary and his team, and let me hand you over to Gary. And Gary, I will not start the timer until I hear your voice, my friend. And good luck.
Good morning, everybody. We're delighted to have secured this project and to be working closely with the whole project team. We have selected what we believe is the strongest team to deliver this project. We have selected what we believe is the strongest team to deliver the project on time, snag-free, and to the best quality standard. Dream Team Construction have a proven record in delivering projects of this type and complexity. I would like to introduce our project team. My name is Gary Hubbard. I am the head of health and safety. I've been in the industry for 35 years. I have NEBOSH and IOSH. I was trained by the best, a guy called Tony Roy. You may have heard of him. So I'd like to pass you on to my colleague, Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel Mustecki. I'm the project manager for this operation. I've been working in the industry for the last 15 years, the last 5 of which has been with DTC. I've delivered 6 similar projects in the past 4 years and well placed and enthusiastic to take forward this project. Jordan?
Hi, I'm Jordan Sawyer, the site manager. I have 15 years experience in the construction industry. I'm a temporary works coordinator and a civil engineer by trade. I'm very passionate about delivering this project safely. Over to you, Adam.
Good morning, I'm Adam Griffith. I will be the build manager on this project. Been working in the industry for about 10 years now. I'll also be overseeing the environmental aspects of this job. I'll pass you back over to Gary.
Yeah, we believe we've got the best team to deliver this project for you. Our goal, though, is to deliver a successful project, not only for ourselves, but also for the client and the associated professional team. We would like to show you our presentation on how we intend to deliver the project, and any input is welcome. So the project, as you all know, but is a construction of a 4-story office block and associated car park facilities in the Bramley offices.
So I'll take you through the timeline, just a few steps. So contract to be completed with existing office owner to confirm handover of building and all the facilities to use of office for canteen, welfare and site offices. So first of all, we're going to set up the welfare site within existing office, mobilise the site management team. We'll then segregate of work site from the public. Site surveys, no, there's a whole point in there, so we won't be going past that without the site surveys complete. So pre-work, start the pre-works, removal of the Japanese knotweed, removal vegetation and the beech tree, removal of the contaminated ground that'll be done by a licensed contractor. Then we'll set up the laydown areas, hard standing required type 1. And then the construction phase starts, where we will be constructing the 4-story office block. We'll then build the new entrance on Bramley Road, start the new car park, which you all know comprises of 118 parking spaces, including the 10 disabled. The existing entrance will then be closed off, pavement extended, and then we'll be building the high boundary wall across the existing entrance.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through the permissions and constraints which are associated with this project, some of which we've already ironed out for now, but we're aware certainly there's still surveys to be carried out as part of the project, as Jordan's already alluded to. I'm just going to start off with the planning permissions and the F10. So we are in possession of the planning permission as provided by itself, the client. We're satisfied that permission covers all civils works, including permits relating to the existing public road and pavement infrastructure. The beech tree has a tree protection order. However, it has been agreed for felling as part of the planning permission. We are also in possession of the F10. Hedges, trees and protected species. The trees and bushes are a concern for nesting birds. However, we are out of the nesting season and will carry out an ECAL survey, which is an Environmental Clerk of Works survey, to confirm no protected species are within the trees, the bushes or anywhere else on the site prior to us beginning works. Japanese knotweed and contaminated ground. We're aware of Japanese knotweed and contaminated ground within the work site. This is to be removed by licensed contractors prior to works commencing. So in terms of historic environments, we've noted the standing stones to the north of the site. Due to previous works on site, we do not anticipate any remnant features within the work area. However, we intend to carry out a historic environment survey prior to works commencing. We've already carried out a desk study and haven't identified anything, but we're just going to be doing that anyway, just belt and braces for that. Neighbour issues. We're aware that the council was previously consulted as part of the planning application and are aware of our works. However, we intend to re-engage with them prior to works commencing to confirm if they require any specific mitigations put in place to protect the open drains to the north. We also note the feedback from the planning consent in relation to noise. We intend to address this through primarily acoustic barriers being installed around the site boundary. We are also going to be limiting our hours of work, which will be detailed within the site rules. We also look to establish a good relationship with the cafe owner adjacent to the work site at an early stage. And we'll aim to accommodate them where it is not in direct conflict with the client's aims and objectives. IDB access to drainage. We do not anticipate a conflict with the IDB team, as access can be gained from the north from the park. If access from the work site is required, then an induction for all IDB staff can be arranged or a chaperone system introduced. We note that traffic is busy during the morning and late afternoon, adjacent to the work sites. As far as practicable, deliveries will be scheduled to avoid these times. We've been provided with indicative drawings from the utility provider, identifying utilities on site and services on site. This will be followed up with ground truthing using CAT scanners and HSG 47 trained operatives.
So as you can see, we've made a list of some hazards we've identified. Some of the main ones, we've got plant moving around site. So we have a traffic management system put in place with a 5 mph speed limit on site. Also, noise will be a big one. So we've put an acoustic hoardfast system around the site to keep the noise down. And we've also took into consideration the members of the public outside the site. Next slide. So just some of the site-specific hazards we've picked up. We have got some contaminated land that will need to be removed. Also, the Japanese knotwood, they'll need a license to remove both of them. A historic environment at the top of the site we've took into account, and also the local cafe to the left-hand side of the site we've took into consideration to keep the noise down and keep the public happy.
Hi, so this is our site logistics and security arrangements. It is quite busy. On the next slide, there is a legend, so it goes through that. But if I quickly go through what our principles are, we're going to surround the building with a hoarding, which we'll go into a bit detail later, but we'll have graffiti paint on it. We're going to run a competition with a local school to come up with a design that we can put as a manifestation around or on part of the hoarding. To give it a bit of a personal touch for the client team. We'll get that approved by yourselves first, but that's what we intend to do. The perimeter also has a number of lights on it to illuminate it at night time to identify those, and with signage around the whole site to warn local people, children, not to enter the site. We've also got around the site a number of CCTV cameras. We'll go into that in a minute on our security slide, but the site is covered. As you can see on the green line, those are our safe routes into the site, across site. And then you've got the red line is our one-way system for the plant movement. And as Adam's already said, it'll be 5 miles an hour around site. As you can see to the left, we've got an area that we've designated for all of our site compound, basically. So we've got segregated skips, wood, metal, plasterboard, and general waste. And we've also then got areas that put materials on the system. So whether we put some containers on there and that sort of thing. And at the night time, we're going to park the plant on that away and padlock them so no one can drive them or steal them from the project. If you go to the right hand side, you can see we've got an entrance gate coming in from the main area. This will be under padlock and key at all times. We have a security guard on as well as a banksman, and when deliveries are booked in, and they have to be booked in, otherwise they'll be turned away, the gate will be open, allow them to come onto site across the yellow onto the areas for skips and deliveries. As you can see, we've got a number of barriers across our walkways. These are to segregate our pedestrians away from the plant movement, and these will be monitored by a team. In the middle, just below where the cabins are, well, it's the building. We're going to reutilize the building because we felt that was the best option. And in front of that, we've put a biometric face scan. This works in a number of ways. You cannot enter site without completing your induction. And when that's done, it will allow you to come in by face recognition. One of the great things on these systems now is if COVID is prevalent, is there, basically the system will not let you in. That's it for that slide. Here's the legend, as I say. So we've got this acoustic holdfast system with lighting around the whole perimeter. And as I said, we're going out to a local school to design a mural which can be added to the hoarding. One-way route for the plant machinery, safe routes, pedestrian crossings, and this turnstile biometric. And the safety warning signs are around the perimeter for the children. CCTV. The one thing I didn't mention, we had allocated a smoking area. Thank you.
So as you can see, this is our traffic management plan. If you have a look from the left-hand side of Bramley Road, all deliveries and materials will be coming in from that way into site, and then they come out and follow that road on back out down Bramley Road to keep the traffic to a minimum around the industrial area. We've also set up a minibus system from the local car park for the lads to get to and from site. So we'll have some set times for that, which will be 8 o'clock in the morning and return back to the car park at 5 o'clock. Go on, Dan. So this is just a bit of a setup of the welfare we've put together. So as you can see, we've got male and female toilets, locker rooms, 2 offices, 2 meeting rooms. We've took into consideration a multi-faith room, first aid room, and the canteen. We've took into account the legal limits of how many toilets, showers, hand basins are provided in each toilet. And we also have a fire plan from the office, as you can see on the screen there. So we've got each point will have a water extinguisher and a powder extinguisher. We also have a fire plan for the main site, but that will be reviewed as the build progresses.
I'll take you through the site security. So the complete site will be secured with acoustic hoarding that will be approximately 2.4 meters high, and paint, like Gary touched on, painted with a graffiti paint to stop vandalism. Again, what Gary touched on, manifesting will be added on completion of the competition with local schools. If anyone else wants any more information on that, Gary will happily advise. The perimeter will be guarded by CCTV cameras, which are monitored 24/7 from an off-site security company. The security company will send security guards out of hours if needed and will contact the police when and if required. Entrances will be secured with locks at all times. These can only be opened by security, banksmen, and the site management team when deliveries or operatives are entering the site. All operatives will enter the site via biometric face recognition, which will include all members of the construction, such client and professional team. Security and banksmen will be available through the site work hours, which are 8 till 5. And like Gary said, only deliveries that are booked in will be allowed onto site. If you're not booked in, you'll be turned away. Emergency plan. So in case of an accident or emergency, you must follow appropriate instructions and refer to contact details over leaf. Always ensure your own safety and that of any casualties and any other people at risk. Check for unstable buildings, dangerous unstable machinery or parts, high voltage electricity cables, and any risk of fire. I'm the temporary works coordinator on the job, so I can certainly help with and I'll support anyone who finds any unstable buildings or anything really. Injured persons, minor injuries shall be reported to site management immediately. Details shall be recorded within the accident book. Any serious life-threatening injuries, contact emergency services immediately. And when reporting accident, give the location and brief description of accident and how many people are involved. The site management team will need to be contacted straight away also. Only move the casualty if at further risk. Send third party to calmly meet emergency services at the main site entrance at Holt Arch Road. There's also a stretcher stored at the site compound for utilisation as required. And we actually got a helicopter access, which has been agreed with the local authority for critical injuries only. Details of appropriate helicopter landing overleaf, follow directions of emergency services.
Okay, so in relation to any fires on site, you're to raise the alarm, which will be 112 from your mobile, or 999, and ensure that you inform the DTC, fire warden, or fire marshal. Their details are noted in the next slide. All of those contact details will be printed off and be situated at various points throughout the work site. You will evacuate to a safe area. The site compound is designated as the muster point for all incidents. In the event of a ground fire, you'll proceed out to the site compound muster point as well. As I just said, all emergency contacts will be printed out and available, but I'll just show you them very shortly. You'll give your location and an indication of the size and seriousness of the fire. You are only to attempt the fire if there's no risk to yourself and you are trained to do so. The fire plan will be reviewed as the construction progresses, as it is a live document, so expect updates as the project progresses. We'll be carrying out weekly tests of the evacuation plan. This is currently planned for Mondays. So this is the sheet that we printed out. You can see it covers the site name, access points, site location, the types of access that you can get in, the location of the helicopter point, A&E, who our primary first aiders are, and further contact details as we go through.
So we have taken to account any additional emergencies that could happen on site, just to list a few out. We could have a COVID outbreak, severe weather, or any diseases. So we have got additional measures put in place if any of these are to happen.
Just let you review that for a second.
Okay, so document control is a very important aspect from us. All the documents must be signed in and accepted by DCC project manager and reviewed against the document register to confirm that the most recent versions are in use. The documents will be named and with the suffix of V1, V2, V3, with the highest numbers being the most recent document. No documents to be issued without confirming that the most recent version is in use. All documents will be issued by the site manager at the first instance or the project manager if not available. Prior to any works commencing, you will be issued with the signed and accepted RAMs to be understand and sign. You will work all the methods identified in the RAMs. Just to also add to this, we use a system called 4Projects, which is our control management system. This is where all our drawings and permits and we use it's called Field View, where all the permits will be signed on and off. So we have a robust document control procedure. Permits to work. We do have permits to work on site, notably be hot works or permits to dig. But there are others like isolations for electrical. There might be step ladders that might be required. So we have a robust permit system that will be issued by our build managers or one of the site team. All of our licenses will be recorded on site. They will include felling of trees, removal of Japanese knotwood, and waste carrier licenses, which will follow our waste management plan. Records of waste transfer notice will be held in the site also, which is part of the waste management plan. We will hold all certificates of all competencies of all staff on site. and plant operators, for instance, towers, IPAF, those will all be held. And then our induction records will also be held on site for all of the people who are inducted onto site, whether it be TBT or power. Thank you.
Okay, so just moving on to the mental health policy. Our mental health policy outlines our provisions to prevent and address mental health issues among our employees and contractors. This policy applies to all of our employees and contractors. HR and management are primarily responsible for communicating this policy and overseeing its implementation. Mental health issues in the workplace are any conditions that affect employees' state of mind. These conditions may include mild depression, stress, and severe anxiety, which may result in burnout and nervous breakdowns. Mental health problems manifest in different ways. Some employees may suffer no physical side effects, while others may experience physical symptoms. Employees may experience mental health issues for various reasons that an employer cannot control. For example, hereditary, family conflicts, or general health. But there are also work-related reasons for mental health problems, including job insecurity, excessive pressure, work-life imbalance, lack of appreciation, hostile workplace conditions, unsatisfactory job or workload, or unpleasant relationships with colleagues or managers. To every extent possible, our company's directors and senior management team aim to recognise and address cases of workplace pressures that contribute to mental health issues.
So company actions carrying on from mental health illnesses. We treat mental illnesses seriously. We identify issues proactively and we resolve them. We support employees who face mental health problems, and we create pleasant workplaces in collaboration with managers, employees, and health experts. We have an EAP program, which is Employer Assistance Program, which includes confidential health assessments and counselling from our staff who are qualified as mental first aiders. Myself, Adam, and Daniel are the mental health first aiders, and a poster will be put up on each workplace and in the offices. A confidential service is also available for our external occupation health provider, Salus. So staff responsibilities. All staff should proactively identify mental health issues among their colleagues. If they have any concerns over the mental well-being of a colleague, they should speak directly to the person and ask if they need help or share their concerns with one of the mental health first aiders. Our aims for you whilst on site. We train one member of each trade as a mental first aider. We will also establish a five-a-side football team, which will have relaxed matches every Saturday. So each trade will have their own football team. With we'll have a tournament at the end of the month, and the winning team will pick a local charity, and we'll donate £1,000 to that local charity every month for the winning football team.
Right, just a bit on the inductions. Everyone who comes to site needs to have an induction before they start working on site. There will be a pre-enrollment system into the induction before they can have the site induction. These will be carried out every day at 8:30 in the induction room. So if you just have a look at the list, there are some of the things that will be included in the induction.
Full list of this will also be printed out and available for review.
Yep. Go to the next slide. So just site rules. We take site rules. We are strict on them on this site because we want to keep the job running smooth with no health and safety issues. We've also took into account some rules that consider the community. So we want everyone to remove PPE before leaving site. We're going to do no weekend working, and we're going to monitor noise on site just to keep into account the neighbours we have around the site. Just have a quick read of them.
And again, these will be printed out as well.
Yep.
Okay, so one of the most important things, or one of the activities for us as a business, is making sure that information is well communicated to the whole team. and these boards will be around the site in general. So, but three pieces of information we will have evident is the health and safety work policy poster, which you can see on the right hand side, the legal requirement. We'll also have the F10 on view, as well as our company insurances. If you see on the bottom on the left hand here, the guys have been talking about site rules and fire plans and everything else. So this board on the left here will be used around site in a number of locations, and they will contain site rules. They will contain plant movements. They will contain hazards and risks. So these boards will be everywhere, giving information on a daily basis, and will be updated as and when the job moves on. So these posters are very important to communicate what the project is doing at that specific time, raising hazards, etc., as well as doing those on daily briefings, etc. So information control is very important around the workforce. We'll also be putting signs around the project. There are far too many to list them all, but we have a robust supply of signs, and the signs will be around everywhere to protect the personnel, whether it will be members of public or the staff on site, to make sure that they arrive safely and leave safely, and informing them of all the issues around site. So there will be where there's safety places, there will be first aiders, there will be mandatory things you've got to wear like PPE. There will be problems around site saying where there's a hazard or a warning sign. So those are just a few of the items that we will be using around site.
So our company accreditations, I'll go through the list. So we've got ISO 14001, ISO 9001, ISO 45001, CHAS, CCS, Considerate Construction Scheme, Planet Mark, so carbon reduction, BIM management, and we are CITB accredited.
I'm just going to list some of our other company policies that we have available to you, and you'll have received through the PQQ process. But I'm just going to list them here again, just for reference. So we have a modern slavery policy, we have a bribery and corruption policy, health and safety policy, environment management, quality assurance, GDPR, document control, information systems, sustainability, equality and diversity, and I think you'll all agree probably the most important one is management of Tony Roy in the workplace. We've been caught out by that a few times, so it's been recently updated. So there's a few other things that will come along too.
So it just means to sign off really. So we really look forward to working to completing this prestigious project, and we welcome any questions. Thank you very much for listening.
And this is traditional. Let's just give that a round of applause at that stage. Come on. Yes. Right, before we go into questions, let me just right, guys, can I invite the first question from Stuart's team, please?
I just had a question. Your welfare facilities, are you sharing the office? Because there's an existing office, and I thought that's where your facilities were.
So we've been in contact with them, and we've agreed to move them out of their offices into a new office, which is down the road, and whilst giving them a bigger car park. So we're paying for that whilst we're utilising it. We felt that was a better option for our business.
So okay. We're currently in the final stages of just agreeing the contract for that, and the terms for that. But it's very much in the process. Had a verbal agreement at this stage, but that's where we are.
Matt, that is a great question, by the way. That is a great question. Any more questions from Stuart's team? Remember, if you don't ask the questions, they'll only end up getting my questions.
Just one. I noticed on when you had your site plan, you've got your material storage away from the site, and you've got the pedestrian access would cross the vehicle access to get them back to site. What's the procedure in place for that?
So if you look on there, you can see the blue lines. Those are pedestrian gates, which will be closed and will be marshalled. So as and when they come up to the gate, they would have to wait, and once the plant's moved away, they will be allowed to cross that crossing.
And what about for heavier items, for getting them across? Is it just manual handling across that?
Well, the plan would
strategy.
be the plan would be to use anything that's heavy that will either be delivered onto the back into the store areas, so available to go straight onto the back of the buildings.
Yeah.
And if not, we'll be using the plant to move the plant machinery to move any heavy items around the building to minimise manual handling. Is that sufficient? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, if we've got no more questions then, let me launch a few of mine at you. Okay, so what does IDB stand for? Right at the beginning.
Internal Drainage Board.
Internal Draining Boards. Yeah. Okay. Never use abbreviations without telling us what they stand for first. Rule number one. Okay. You mentioned a lot of lighting around the perimeter. Is that going to conflict with light pollution?
No, they'll be selected so they don't create any light pollution, but it is important that it's highlighted around to make sure that no one comes into sight.
We've also, so as part of our planning, the planning consent, there is a condition in there for the use of site lighting, and we'll be following the guidance very, very strictly.
Okay, good answer. How long is your project anticipated to go on for?
So we're looking between 18 months to 2 years.
Okay, so you mentioned the stone circle, the stone monument there, and you didn't anticipate it being a problem, but you're going to be going through 4 solstices, the winter solstice and the summer solstice, and there's going to be an influx of druids coming on to pay homage to the stone circle. So have you got any druid, any control for that?
To be completely honest, because of it being outside of the work area, I've only really given it a cursory consideration at this stage. The environmental historic survey that will be carried out within the work site is to identify things where we'll have a direct conflict with the stone with any features within inside the site. However, if we do end up getting any queries from local groups, we'll do our best to accommodate them where we can.
Excellent. Smoking areas. Have you got a separate vaping area? Because I'm an ex-smoker and I now vape, and I don't really want to be with the smokers because it makes me want a cigarette.
Yes, we have.
You have. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jordan. Thank you. Graffiti paint. Quickly, can you just explain to me how that works?
Yeah, it's a paint that is easily cleaned. So it's a special polymer. So when people use spray paint on it, it can be cleaned off very easily. Whereas normal emulsion paint, you have to repaint the whole lot. So it's easy cleanable.
Okay. Never heard of that before. Never heard of it worded like that before. Okay, so I'm going to keep this brief because I appreciate we're getting close to 11 o'clock. Okay, I'll skip that one. Again, another abbreviation I didn't know. POWRA, POWRA. What was that an abbreviation for?
That stands for Point of Work Risk Assessment.
Point of work. Oh, POWRA, Point of Work Risk Assessment. Very nice. And lastly, like I say, I'm a bit conscious of time, so I'm just going to skip straight to the last one because the other questions will take you a little bit longer to answer. A relaxed five-a-side football match. What's a relaxed five-a-side football match?
There's not such thing as a relaxed.
Not in my experience, there isn't, Jordan.
Not in our experience either.
The issue is I wrote that part of the slide, and I'm not involved in football at all. I should have left that to the expert.
Right, there's no problem.
Well done, guys. You answered each other.
You answered try not to injure each other. Yeah, non-contact if there is such a thing. Right, guys, let's give it a final round of applause, and then we can do the minute silence, and we can crack on with the next one. So well done.
Thank you very much.
Right, let me just stop the